So, I don't know about you, but every year around August or September-ish, I get this weird feeling that I'm supposed to be out buying new pencils and notebooks. There are seasons of the year, and for 19 of my 30 mumble years, one of those seasons was back to school season. As some of you know, I lived in Princeton, New Jersey for 5 years before I came to Michigan. And while I was never a part of Princeton University, it's kind of a big place, and life in a city with not one but 3 different post-secondary schools meant that the rhythm of the school year was always in the background. So I was witness to 6 consecutive rounds of back-to-school season as fresh-faced teenagers poured in every late August. Anywhere you go in Princeton, there will be a whole bunch of 18 to 23-year-olds who never seem to age, because when they age out on graduation, they're replaced by a new set of students. So you are always surrounded by 18 to 23-year-olds. On any night out, you will inevitably overhear young adults in a bar enthusiastically discussing gender politics and Jane Austen, not a hypothetical example, or music theory, or name-dropping so many French and German philosophers that you're sure they're making up at least some of them, or the technicalities of some very specific science thing that definitely surpasses your own high school biology. In some ways, it feels a little frozen in time, but in a way that's kind of reassuring. There will always be young people on runs for late-night snacks. There will always be professors and TAs spending long hours grading papers and tests. There will always be college students earnestly attempting to solve the mysteries of the universe. I can only imagine that this surreal time paradox is something that teachers go through every year. You know that you're aging, but every day, year in, year out, you're surrounded by 12-year-olds. Anyway, naturally, all of this brings us to wisdom literature. Our Bible was written over several millennia by many different authors, and the books within it cover different genres: history, poetry, satire, letters, the lives of prophets, and of course, wisdom literature, which we can find in parts of Psalms and Song of Songs, as well as the books of Job, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes, which is what we're reading from today. Wisdom literature reflects on philosophy, how to live well, basically life, the universe, and everything. The book of Job frames these big questions in the form of hypothetical dialogues between characters in an allegorical story. The book of Proverbs contains poetry about wisdom interspersed with short thoughts, almost like bullet points about aspects of a good and godly life. The book of Ecclesiastes explores the meaning of the universe as its author, an anonymous scholar, thinks back on the lessons of his teacher. There's a time for everything, he thinks. Time for living and dying, time for planting and harvesting, time for destroying and time for repairing. And sometimes these times can feel set in stone, unavoidable, inevitable. What role do we play? What role can we play in a universe that sometimes feels like a series of repeating cycles, each one much like the one before? Our second reading this morning comes to us from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verses 1 through 7. Hear now the word of the Lord. The words of the teacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the teacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What do people gain from all the toil at which they toil under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hurries to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes round to the north. Round and round goes the wind, and on its circuits the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they continue to flow. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Okay, so sometimes I go on little language rants about how the way that a word is translated from Greek, or in this case Hebrew, doesn't entirely grasp the sense of the original word, in my opinion. When the teacher says, vanity of vanities, all is vanity, He's not saying that everyone around him is vain, as in being obsessed with their own looks. He's lamenting that it can feel like the work we do can feel like it's been done in vain, that it might not really matter. The word in Hebrew is hevel, meaning something like vapor, breath, or smoke, something you can see but not really touch, something that might be blown away at any moment. It is entirely valid to read Ecclesiastes and feel kind of bummed out, as if the teacher's question were rhetorical. If all of our actions are nothing but smoke in the air, why do we try so hard? But I don't think his question is rhetorical. I think what he's saying is more along the lines of, when it feels like nothing matters, because sometimes in our lives we will feel that way, let me tell you why I think you should keep going anyway. Generations may come and go, but the earth God created for us is forever, because God's covenant is forever, made without condition. Nights and days and months and seasons and years repeat themselves, because time is constant and reliable, and so is God's love for us. The winds blow around the whole world like the Holy Spirit embracing the planet, and all streams run to the sea. All of our lives overlap and flow together because we are interconnected. We are influenced by the way that strangers have affected the lives of people close to us. We grieve deaths that occurred before we were even born. We learn lessons from teachers taught by teachers, taught by teachers, taught by teachers, and farther back. Family jokes can make their way around the world. We rely on each other in more ways than we could name. At the very beginning, when God created all things, God said, "It is not good for the human to be alone." Our lives run together, like all streams run to the sea. But the sea is never full. There's always room for more love, more growth, more community, more expanding, more overlapping. There's no limit to what we can offer each other. There is always more to be learned. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. And the waters of the sea are always moving. They never stay in one place. Even on days when we would call the sea calm, it's still moving. The water that runs to the sea from any given stream will be mingled with water from other streams, and it will move together until it reaches a place where another stream begins to flow, and so the cycle starts over again. But it's not the same water, because it's joined with water from other sources, and it brings something new to the stream. All streams run to the sea. There, they continue to flow. Sometimes it seems like not much changes around us. In every generation since the beginning of humankind, we've sought to be warm and dry, to have enough to eat. We've wanted to laugh and find beauty around us. We've fallen in love, romantically, platonically, and with our families, whether they are families of origin or whether they are chosen families. But throughout all of those hundreds of thousands of years, we have been learning, and we have been passing lessons on. We learned how to make fire. We learned how to farm. We learned how to write. We learned how to weave cloth. We learned how to build ships. We learned how to domesticate animals so that we could snuggle up with dogs on cold nights and travel far on horses and knit tiny sweaters for hamsters and convince pigs to help us find truffles and put mice in mazes and feed cows in exchange for milk and watch cats go for joy rides on robot vacuums. All of these things obviously were equally important things to learn how to do, especially the tiny hamster sweaters. Learning. Anyway, throughout all that time, we've been learning new lessons and passing them on, like the teacher in the book of Ecclesiastes taught the book's author, or like Jesus taught his disciples, or like our schools and families taught us, like we will help to teach all the children of our own communities. Change may take time, and it may not always look as dramatically different as it feels like maybe it should. But eventually, all streams will run to the sea, and we will continue to share our wisdom even long after our names have been forgotten. Life is just a breath, says the teacher, smoke in the air. All is vanity, all is shallow, all will pass away. What do people even gain from all the toil at which they labor under the sun? What do they gain? They gain wisdom. And if our lives and our collective wisdom come down to nothing but vapor in the air, then with every breath we take to stay alive, we are breathing in the wisdom of all who have gone before us. All streams run to the sea, and God is with every individual drop of water, each step of the way, and long beyond.